morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you for staying with us. This morning we're speaking to representatives of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Tobago branch. We're speaking with PC Damian Mills and Dyon Virgil. As we speak, they are from the Special Victims School Intervention Team. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to speak about how do we safeguard our children from online predators. We are in the vacation period and our children are home. Most of them are, they have their devices available, and of course, the opportunity is ripe for predators. And so we're going to have that conversation this morning. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
You look fine, I must say. You look very fine this morning, representing the TTPS quite well this morning. And so we're talking about safeguarding children. We know that we're in the vacation period, and we know most of children have devices, and they have they're readily accessible to them. Whether they're in school time or even the vacation period, even more so now, as they don't have that 8 to 4 time to occupy or indulge them in school activities. So, the parents might say, okay, use your tablet, use your phone, or whatever, to do whatever, because it's free time for them. Yes. And so the opportunity is ripe for predators, and they're just waiting for that chance. What are some of the conversations we need to have, one with the parents and two with the children, so that they are on high alert to detect and to know how to safeguard themselves from this type of predator?
Well, in the first instance, we would like for our parents and the general public to recognize that a device, whether it be a cellular phone, a laptop, a tablet, a computer, any device or instrument that has access to the internet, and leaving our children with unsupervised and unmanaged time on those devices, it can be quite similar to leaving a child with a loaded firearm. Because what we may not recognize is that when we have our children on these devices and they are unsupervised, our children have access to the world. On the flip side, the world also has access to our children. And so we need to be very cautious in terms of the conversations that we have our children, looking at and having. There are sexual predators that set up accounts online, and they befriend our children, and they encourage and they groom our children, and they know exactly what to say to these children to get them to go against the wishes and the instructions of their parents and so on. So we need to caution our parents in terms of online, activity, social media activity. They need to be aware that almost every, if not every social media app nowadays have what you call instant messaging or direct messaging capabilities, even our online games, right? For example, and I'm not hitting at any gamer because I myself am a gamer, right? But, there's games like Fortnite, PUBG, a very popular one. There's another one, Call of Duty. Right. Call of Duty. And so all these games, even though it's a game, there's
interaction there. Yes,
interaction,
that's right.
Real-time interaction between persons. And if you were to look, you will recognize that the conversations that these persons have with our children is it would not consider the ages of these children, and it is very, very inappropriate. So we need to be cautious.
And the thing is, right? Even as adults, our accounts also get penetrated by persons who have unscrupulous intentions.
That's right.
You see scammers like this is the season for scammers apparently. Yes. You're seeing now where scammers are coming in and calling you and saying they're representing a certain organization that you might be affiliated with, and they want to get your information. So even, us as adults, we get that penetration more so, yes. Children, because we at least can manage ourselves. And so I want to join with you and agree with you that, parents need to pay more attention to their children. What are some of the measures that they can take in terms of, you mentioned unsupervised, you mentioned also putting a time limit and stuff. So I want to get into what parents can actually do to regulate how their children consume that time on their devices.
All right, so what I would say, and I will tell you what I do for my children. I allow my children 45 minutes per day, supervised device, and we call it screen time at home. And that screen time, it would involve every device that they would like to use, because we do not restrict them, but we manage it. And so that screen time would involve cellular phone, tablet, if they want to use their laptops, or if they want to use the television. If they're looking at the television, I would say, okay, so you're looking at the television, that's time out of your screen time there. So if you watch a show for 1 hour, well then that's it for the day. If it is that they would like to view online content, well then we would manage it, we would look at them, they would be doing it within our presence. They are not to go into their rooms, close any doors, the doors must remain open, we must know what you are doing online, we must know what sites you are visiting, and we also must know, and parents need to know how to navigate these devices. Children hide away chats. There's the common enemy called the archive. Sometimes they open a chat and they see this archive. Do not just brush past the archive. Go into the archive and look at the chats. 10 to 1, you are going to see chats in that archive that you would need to pay attention to. Right? Or Instagram, very popular one, and TikTok. All of these social media sites. Yeah, we need to look at these sites, supervise our children. So I supervise my children, and I will encourage all parents to supervise their children. As a matter of fact, the law actually talks about supervision of children. And if it is that they were to get into any kind of a situation, whether it be they themselves perpetrating a crime or becoming victims of a crime, the issue of supervision, according to sections 56 and 57 of the Children's Act, would come into play there. And so the court can now call parents to account and to give reasons why such a thing happened and so on. And it even extends onto the school and the school system, teachers and so on. So supervision is very, very critical.
No, one thing I wanted to add is that we tend to find in our experiences that children are far more tech savvy than their parents. So one challenge of parents is to be on top of their game in terms of their online awareness, of their social media awareness, because even a lot of times we find out that these children are lying on these accounts that they have access to, even under the noses of their parents. You know, and we can talk about in cases where parents are finding themselves shocked and in disbelief as to what these children are finding themselves engaged to, which echoes back the sentiment of my colleague where we talk about monitoring. It's not just about managing, but it's also about monitoring. You can't afford to have your children know more than you when it comes to technology.
That's right, you know, and sometimes we're talking about supervision and monitoring, and some parents might be thinking, yes, but I'm busy, I can't supervise my child for 45 minutes while I have the cooking to do, or the washing to do, or the cleaning to do. But when you talk about the things that can happen online, the conversations that they can have, even with the games, as you mentioned earlier, or the things that the children trying to manipulate or trick the parents, you know, they hide in the things in the archive and they're having the conversations on the down low. Which one is more important? The cooking and the cleaning, or supervising the children and safeguarding them from the predators? Because these things are real. I mean, they have the legitimate reasons. Yes. I have to do the take care of the home. I have, you know, assignments to do. I have projects to do for work. But also, your responsibility, as you mentioned in the law, is to supervise the child, to protect the child, and to safeguard the child from the predators. So how do you balance that now?
Well, there is no rule or rubric that, you know, that is written in law where we have to have a time or a time limit. In every home, we must be able to manage the affairs of the home. And so as parents, we are all busy. And if we are busy, we have housework to do, we have chores to do. We need to let our children know that, listen, if I cannot properly supervise you at this point in time, then you need to wait until I can. You know, you need to have some patience in terms of your use of the device and so on. Far too many times we are seeing homes where it seems as though the children are the parents and the parents are the children. And so the parents are put in a position where, because they don't want to, quote unquote, anger the child, they fall to the desires of these children and so on. We need to control our children. We need to let our children remember and know that, listen, I am the parent and you need to do what I say. You need to listen to me. We need to go back to these types of times.
We really have to go back to, because culture has changed a lot, you know,
that's
in
how it was
parenting.
long ago. And we need to sometimes return to those times, as the Bible says, that as it were in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the end. So we need to, sometimes it is good to go back and come forward again.
The Bible also said to train a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not depart from it. And a lot of times we see these devices used as tools to pacify a child rather than raising the child. And especially when the world has such access to your children, then we see they adopt particular types of behaviors, because those same behaviors is what we see engaging in schools these days. You know, because a lot of these other influences on different cultures. Remember, culture was created by people and it can also be changed by people. So you as parents have to create the atmosphere, the environment to nurture the type of culture you want within your children. And monitoring these devices, first of all, you need to monitor you as a parent, because you as a parent have to be the example and set the examples of how you want your child to follow.
You know, a culture, as you said, people create culture and people can change culture, but a culture is something that is so difficult to change, especially when it is cemented for so long. And we have seen the change, the transformation, because I remember as a child growing up, the children who are growing up now, listen, they are totally different creatures. They are different. The parenting style is different. It's not as hands-on as it was before. And I remember telling some younger people that you know, when you're walking in the street, if you see somebody, you must say good morning, good afternoon. And now, when I walk outside and I say good morning, nobody responds to me. And I'm like, we don't even have the social graces anymore. So, you know, a cultural change is something that is really difficult that we have to penetrate. And it will take an aggressive approach. So, in terms of the TTPS and this unit, have you had any discussions, or is there any thoughts about doing what you call community intervention in terms of getting the community, getting the conversations out there with the stakeholders and the residents in the community to change their behaviors and their mindsets, which it will in fact change the culture?
That's right. The school's intervention team started approximately about 3 years ago. And this team, you know, was established because we did in fact see the need for children being aware as to the laws that have been set up to protect them, the crimes that they can be victims of. They need to be able to identify, because within a child protection unit, when we interview children, they, you know, would normally be clueless as to whether this thing that they would have gone through was wrong. And sometimes you would find children blaming themselves for having gone through certain situations and becoming victims of certain crimes and so on. And so we saw the need to not only educate our children, but educate our parents. And we have grown so much. In addition to that growth, we have been very successful in getting the information out there, because when we go to the schools, we have lectures with these children, and these lectures tend to be very interactive. And the purpose of these lectures is so that we can inform these children and sensitize these children as to what is law. Where does the law come in where your protection is concerned? What are some of the laws that have been set up to protect you? What do you need to do if you are, or God forbid, a victim of a crime at any given point in time? We also teach them emotional intelligence, right? And conflict resolution, because children need to, especially now, these days, they need to be aware as to how to manage their emotions and how to be able to resolve conflicts as they go about their daily lives, you know, with other persons within the community and even within the school base. So we have been in the communities, we have been at the schools, we have been, you know, at several organizations, the PTAs, the churches. We have been on the ground and we have been going strong, and our children and the community of Tobago has been benefiting thus far from our interventions and our interaction with our schools and our children. The reports have been, you know, going down in terms of crimes against children, because now a child will know, okay, this is a crime, I need to report it. This is a crime, I saw something, I need to say something. They are identifying crimes, and we teach them the law. We teach them what section governs this, right? We teach them about mandatory reporting when you make a report to an adult that you trust. We tell them about this trust issue. Do not go and just say what happened to you to any adult. It must be someone that you trust and someone that you believe would help you or seek that you receive the justice that you require. And so our children have been, you know, getting and receiving this knowledge and using it in their day-to-day lives. Yeah.
No, one thing I just wanted to add is breaking that code of silence. You know, a lot of times children are victims of crimes and they usually keep quiet. And one thing the unit has done is definitely reintroduce the freeness of being able to express yourself. Because even throughout our interactions and even our interventions, we see several reports came out of it. And these children have been going through these things for many months. Who knows a friend who has been going through things, and they become much more open and receptive. And one thing I would like to shed light on is because even when it comes to the imagery of the TTPS, how it has been shed, and it's more cast in a much more positive light within the service itself.
Absolutely amazing stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking with PC Damian Mills and Dyon Virgil this morning as we speak about safeguarding our children from online predators and, general safeguarding and advising our children as to how to protect themselves from becoming victims in this time, especially of their lives. And so we want to thank you so much for coming this morning and shedding that light, having that information. And we say thank you also to the stakeholders and the collaborators who are having the conversations in the communities and all the other agencies who are on board with you guys to ensure that we get the information across. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to go for a short break before we continue conversations in studio this morning. And as we go, of course, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.